So today we'll be discussing a very important issue, means one of the topic that is crisis leadership. We have seen numerous crises in this decade. The recent crisis that is also yet not over, COVID. In this kind of the crisis situation, total economy actually got disrupted, got affected. So many people lost their job. Business got affected. They stopped their production, and it has created a havoc and a massacre in every part of the life of the people in the whole world. So today we'll be discussing this topic, and today Mr. Abid Mojumdar is with us. He's the founder of the Idea Factory. So today we'll be actually discussing the topic. So Mr. Majumdar, means what do you think that this is the crisis leadership means? What is the importance of this crisis leaderships and how it can help the organization to overcome that? And also some the trend, I mean the trend that I mean the changes basically that happen in the economy or in the organization during this kind of the crisis situation. Yeah, means please explain that part also.
Right. Thank you for this platform. It's a good platform to discuss a topic like crisis leadership. It's a very big topic because here we will discuss the crisis in organizations, in the economy, and so it's a very broad topic. And let's start small. I remember during my own career, working career of 15 years, I realized I was getting good job offers at the beginning. And whenever I was looking for a job, there were calls from the market. Very soon, as soon as I applied, there would be three, four interviews that would happen in a month. Things move very fast. Okay, and I thought this is what is the reality of a new India because there are so many jobs in the market, and that allowed me to have a peace of my mind that whenever I'm in need of a new job, it will be available in India. By that time, I was already working in a pan India role. So obviously, the role also I felt that this has a great market and this would give me great job openings in the near future. Having said that, over a period of time in 2007, 8, and also we saw there were a lot of recruitments happening in wherever I was working. I mean, people were taking in great numbers, especially in service organization because I worked mostly in service organization. There were great number recruitment happening, and everything was hip and happening in the organization. There were recruitments, there were sales, there were customer service, increments happening, and everything was on the higher spiral. I won't say it was perfect, of course. There were issues, but they were always on a higher spiral till around 2007, 2008, when the global crisis hit India, and there was a considerable slowdown in India, and we started seeing that companies' behavior started, they became more, tried to be more conservative, and there were job losses happening. There were people who were being called and told that your services are not no more required, and without any prior warning, people were losing their jobs, and that got me scared because I was in service organization. That was the first time I realized that in service organizations, people may come in and may go out without too much of thinking in that sense. So there were a lot of job losses happening all around, and there I realized that if people take in companies take in people in large numbers, they also give out, they let go of people in large numbers also. Having said that, I realized, and there were these. In fact, if you ask me, there were two, three slowdowns that I witnessed in my career. One is definitely the 2007 to 2009 crisis that I'm talking of. Secondly, I also witnessed the slowdown that by that time I had already left my job. 2000 around 19, there was a global slowdown that was happening, and that affected India. There were no major sales. There were no major jobs in the market. People were actually started crying because they felt suffocated in the organization, but they were not able to leave jobs, and some of them were being let go. And by the time the country could recover from the 2019 slowdown, the COVID hit. Now, when COVID hit, the whole world paralyzed, and in some way, the whole world is in the same platform. Okay, so this is going on for a long period of time. We thought it would be a 15-day lockdown or a 21-day lockdown, and today we are almost clocking about 2000 more than
It's more
two
than
years.
it's near about 2 years almost.
Yeah, it's about 2 years, and still we have not recovered. So it's a very scary situation. By this process, people have in the process we are at least grateful that we are living. There are so many people who got lost their lives in the whole process, and only those who are living, we are able to talk of a resilience of how we can take this leadership forward. So we are the fortunate people who are actually trying to take the economy forward, and we must be grateful that we are in a position to take the economy forward. I think that's one message that I would like to put in. But maybe we can break the question step by step, and maybe you can we can go to the next question that you're talking.
See, the thing is that in crisis situation, basically when it happens in the economy basically goes into various kind of the phases, like that goes into the recession, or if it actually stays for the more time, longer period, then it becomes also depression. But we have seen also that various actually kind means various shape of the recovery. It can happen W, V, U, or various kind of the recovery. So, what is your perspective in this? That how it can means what kind of the recovery could happen, and what could be the shape of the recovery?
This again is a very great topic to talk about. We're talking of the economic growth and recovery. But if you look at if you study the recessions and slowdowns and then the recovery process, I think we must start with something very positive. And only today or yesterday I saw that the Sensex has crossed 60,000 mark, and there are increase in the GST collection, there are increase in the direct taxes collection, and so there are clear indications that the economy is moving forward. Okay, so not everything is gloom and doom at this point in time when we are discussing this. So there are clear signs of recovery. So stock market is at least maybe kind of a lead indicator for the growth of the economy, and so there are clear indications that the economy is trying to move forward. Okay, having said that, it is taking a lot of, because COVID is like what they are talking it as a black swan in the 21st century, and we have not seen something like that before. But let's hope that we don't see something like that again. Okay, so in terms of the recovery that we have, there are different models that we have studied, and the best model of recession recovery is the V shape, which means that you go down and you go up very quickly, and that is perhaps the best case scenario. But in many cases, it doesn't happen like that. Maybe next comes the U-shaped recovery, wherein you stay in the slow growth for a certain period of time, and then you start moving, and then you have a W recovery, which kinds of gives you a surprise by showing some clear signs of recovery, and then again it slows down. I think there are some symptoms of W recovery in COVID also, because in the past also we have seen green shoots happening, and then again it kind of dipped down because there are fresh cases of COVID coming in. So typically, there are, it doesn't take the whole path of recovery. And lastly, you get the L-shaped recovery, which is perhaps the worst case scenario, which means it stays at the lower bit of the situation for a very long period of time, and you don't know when it will go up. Okay. Over here, I think India, let's hope that we are on an up path for recovery. We really don't know. But let's hope now that we are getting signals. Let's hope the recovery will happen now. And we try to come out with from a L shape to a U shaped recovery. So let's hope that we gradually move upwards and bring the economy back. But one of the major learnings of this COVID vis-a-vis the other, crisis is that we have realized that we should not be shadowed by foreign economies. Most of the depressions or the slowdowns are actually a mirror image of the slowdowns that are happening in the Western world. Okay, and that we are following because we are over dependent on them. Today, as we are trying to recover, this is a new India which believes that we cannot depend on the other world, we cannot depend on them for our own recovery. We have to take it in our own hands. So, in the process, the recovery that is happening, I believe that we are trying to chalk out a roadmap of recovery where domestic growth, domestic demand is of prior importance, and dependence on the foreign land or the FDI model will slowly reduce. So we are actually bringing up a more self-reliant India in the whole process, and the resilience will definitely give us some kind of a what should I say, the immunity to shocks that come from the Western world.
Absolutely, that is actually one of the theory that is called the basically decouple theory, where we actually decouple our economy from the Western economy to immune this kind of the crisis. So hopefully that could happen. We could become self-reliant to handle this kind of the situations. And as you said that we are on a path of a recovery in the COVID situation, I do hope also so, because there are so many indicators that actually means those indicators show that we are actually moving towards that area. Hopefully that we will be recovered soon, and it should not be a kind of the wave curve. So again it goes down and again it goes up. That so there should not be any kind of the fresh cases, I do hope. So now the thing is that we're coming to the next part of this discussion. So we have seen this kind of the crisis to handle of the crisis. Now that one main important part is that leading this leadership, how to handle this kind of the situation through the proper leadership, crisis leadership. So and also from leading from the front. So can you throw a little bit light on that, how to handle this kind of the situation through proper leadership style and also leading from the front?
Let me tell you that a crisis recovery doesn't happen on its own. There will always be some organizations or some sectors that will lead the recovery, and others will slowly, and the others will slowly follow. So every crisis gives rise to a certain resilience in organizations, and this resilience will actually, help the organization to go forward. First of all, we are all resilient. Okay, even individuals, we are all resilient. Individuals are all resilient, and we all want to go back to our own lives. And organizations are also resilient in the whole process. So it is being led by the recovery is being led by certain sectors and certain organizations who have taken control of their destinies and trying to bring products into the whole process. So the first important criteria that is required is a certain amount of resilience or strong mindedness, which allows you to do business even at these times. Okay, I'm sure there are examples where businesses have taken these losses due to COVID and also moved forward. There are historical stories which have said that people have been able to recover from the shock faster than others because of the resilience available. That being the whole process, it also gives another thing that has come out, that every crisis, there are businesses that understand the crisis in totality and see what people want at that point in time. For example, if you look at this COVID time, the mask and the sanitizers were nowhere in the horizon before COVID happened. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the market got flooded with products like the mask, it got flooded with gloves, it got flooded with sanitizers, and so many products which were not there. So these were the resilient, and it was very early on the curve. Okay, I'm talking, if the lockdown happened in 2019 March, I think by April May these were already in the market. So there were certain organizations who quickly changed their products, and they may not be very big organizations. They were, I remember there are stories about small scale companies also who suddenly change their product portfolio to such products which will sell in the market, which is a necessity, which is not a luxury. So the idea or the pulse of the business to understand that these products might be required at a crisis time, and this is a necessity at this point in time and not a luxury, is a great smart act or a case of thought leadership. Everybody knew that there would be masks required or gloves required, but who were the first guys who came to the market? They captured the market very fast. So the understanding, yeah,
There is a sudden rise of this kind of the products, and people actually jumped into means prepare means making this product or preparing this kind of the products. But I
right.
must take one of the things that see when this kind of the things happen to any in economy on any point of time, many people start to do this kind of the things. But after a point of time, it gets consolidated. Only few player who has got the competency and the capability to sustain, they only sustain. Rest of the people actually either they vanish from the market or they got actually consolidated with the other identity, because basically that is the kind of the situation if we see, because everyone cannot see, they are kind of the special situation in the economy. That is why you are getting an opportunity to create this kind of service of the product. Now the thing is that it is not always that it is in your favor or within your competency. Some see if you see this sanitizer, gloves, these things are available means in a shop next to your door. It was not there earlier, so there is a huge kind of the demand. Particularly in India, more than 130 crore people are there, so there is a huge demand. Everybody came, means jumped into either procuring or making this kind of the product. But the caution is that after the recovery or after this kind of the things, all the means all the players are not going to be there in the field forever. Either half of the player or the majority of the player who are existing right now, they will go up or they will get consolidated with the other entity, because that is not there in their capacity or the capability or within their competency to actually serve this kind of the things forever, because they take the advantage of this kind of the sudden means the situation that came actually suddenly. So that could be another kind of thing. That is also my perspective. But this is a one kind of the very important thing that leading from the front, when the how the organization changed their product line. They even they came to the digitization, they adjusted with this kind of the situation, and they actually try to cope up with the situation. So without proper leadership, without having visionary leadership or leading from the front kind of the concept, it is not possible to cope up this kind of the situation. I absolutely agree with you in this kind of in this point. So now the my next question would be that, means how could you explain this crisis leadership in prospect of the thought leadership? Because thought leadership, which is a very important area of a management, and crisis leadership definitely as another area. How could you merge it, and how could you actually explain that crisis leadership in the perspective of the thought leadership?
Right. I think one of the major thought leadership. So, thought leadership is what? It's actually a kind of a, I would say, a precautionary approach to take businesses forward, and we take the learnings as we go along. We first of all, we one of the major learnings that we learned from COVID, and I'm talking referring to COVID again and again, because every crisis is different in its own. But COVID has been such a big crisis. If you study this whole crisis, if you know to handle this crisis, I'm sure we will be able to handle other crises in the future. Okay, but at the same time, we should not break ourselves down and say that if this crisis, this is the end of the world. We should always be think that things are going to improve, and we should lead it from the front, that we have the power to take it forward, and I'm sure others will get strength to follow us. Okay, having said that, so thought leadership is also a kind of a strength or a mindset or a resilient attitude. It starts from there. At the same time, understanding the requirements of people, and you have to be, one is more important of thought leadership is to understand that fluidity in the market. You have to be very fluid as an organization. Anything that may happen tomorrow, so you have to be fluid. And once you have seen these dark days, I'm sure each company, each individual would like to save money for the rainy days and would not blow up all the money when they see the sun again. So, well, of course, we have seen sunny days before, and but we never thought that we would see these dark days again. But having seen that and having been fortunate to survive this, one of the learnings is to save for the rainy days tomorrow. So tomorrow, when we make money, we should not, think that that is going to perennially grow, and so we should have some money in the, save everybody, individuals and organization to save the money. Having said that, the product portfolio have to be such that, in terms of the, if you're talking thought leadership, as you rightly said, that not everybody's competence is there to survive in the long run, and that you see in every Indian industry. Every industry, you will see that there are smaller organizations that may have started, but the larger organizations would actually, with their muscle power, they make it take it bigger. Okay, so they make it bigger. So actually, they survive. So what is more important to have a mix of products and services, so that you have a basket of products and services which is for the what should you say, essential ingredients, and then slowly have also luxury ingredients. So when you actually come to crisis, your essential ingredients will actually give you the bread and butter. Your luxury can wait. So luxury will give you the premium profitability in your sunny days, but in your rainy days, your essential products and services will give you. So a company should have to be on a perennial thinking process or a thinking platform, where they can bring new and new products and services which will actually bring the whole process, right? So this in essence are some of the thoughts. We might have to go to specific examples of thought leadership when you go across to sectors, but on a generic level, I think these are the some basic takeaways that we can talk of.
And what could be the role of the thought leadership basically to means handle this kind of situation?
I
If
think
the
thought leadership, yeah.
yeah,
So
what is
thought leadership would be essentially I would say it's a mindset, and to build a platform wherein you keep on thinking and ideating on a dynamic basis, so that as soon as you have, as you handle crisis situations, thought leadership is actually a collective, uh, you know, uh, thought process of an organization which cuts across several layers. It's not always what we are trying to propagate is not that thought leadership is something which is always by the top management. You at every layer, it cuts across every layer at every. So if you build up a platform where people are dynamic enough, where they they have a thinking platform and they bring out with new products and services, and that will actually take the organization forward. So you have a mix of services or product which is mix of premium, mid segment and essential services, so that you can play within these segments whenever your situations improve or whether your situation reduce. In terms of a crisis, let us remember you cannot fix the pricing. Companies are slashing prices by 40%, 50%. Some have given them free services, and hopefully, so that you have to remember you cannot freely price in the market when you are going through a crisis. So while you in the normal situation, when you get back to that, you have to know that while there is a time when you can freely market your product, there is also a time when you cannot. There has to be a band of the whole process. So this also puts you into a kind of a building up a framework which allows you to dynamically change the business model depending upon the situation. Of course, in strategy, we use a term called scenario planning, but it is not so granular. What we are trying to do in a scenario level is, in typically in organization, what I have seen is there are only three scenarios they talk about. The most likely, the optimistic scenario, and the pessimistic scenario. But then, what is optimistic? What is pessimistic? And pessimistic is COVID now. If that is the bar, so what are the assumptions you are going to put on your planning, so that you can play within your product portfolio and your profitability, so that you can manage to at least protect the people and your organization. One
that?
thing that I wanted to highlight in this crisis is what we believe in, as from the quote of Ratan Tata, who feels that people's jobs have to be protected even when you're going through a crisis, because an organization is like family. If they don't protect the jobs of people who have served you, are you an organization? Are they going to be loyal to you if you are not loyal to them? If in their rainy days you show them the door, that means you are not building up a robust model. So having said that, so if you at least you don't recruit new people, that's fine. But what about the people who are already there? You don't, and this is what has happened in India, and this is what is always happening. It's kind of a hire and fire policy. So at least a robust model has to be pulled by thought leadership, where you can protect your people even in times of crisis, and they will be loyal to you. They will give you the way out to come out of this crisis. Your people are going to give you the way out to come out of the crisis.
See, that
So these
this
are the basic, some top level thought process that goes on in my mind. You have
this
to dig deeper
is
to build
very
a framework.
this is a very important part means to protect the job in the time of the crisis, because if organization who actually absorbs you in that means for your and giving you particularly a means career, so if they cannot protect you in this kind of the situation, it's very bad. It's very bad for the organization as well, because they prove themselves that they do not have the robust capability to handle this kind of the any kind of the crisis situation, or to keep these people safe and keep this means keep the future safe of these people. So that is a very important point that you mentioned, that this organization need to take care of these people. So we have
I
seen that.
just want to add one more point. While organizations also need to take that point, but when an economic crisis hits, the government also has to step in. It has to be a joint support from the government, because they have to give certain amount of assurance, because the companies are also working on an overall umbrella. So I believe that even the government has some responsibility to protect the jobs, because their government has a mandate for jobs. Whenever the people elect a new government, they also they feel there will be jobs in the market, and that's kind of a mandate. And whenever the jobs don't happen or whatever, the organizations also are under the governmental regime. So the government also has to put in certain policies in place to protect organizations in terms of, I think
Definitely.
it's a two-way process. It's a
No,
very large
definitely,
subject.
definitely. Yeah,
It's a very large subject, right?
government definitely should step in to protect that overall economy and also the industry. So this is a very important matter. Who means if government doesn't take care, then who will take care of the situation? Definitely, government has a very big role to play. But what I'm saying that the organization, the people, the employees, they're attached with the organization. If they cannot take care of this kind of the situation, it's very bad for the organization, that these organizations prove themselves that they are not able to handle this kind of the crisis, and they do not have a robust or means a very good kind of the business model. If they cannot actually take care of these people in the in the time of the crisis, they prove that they do not have the robust business model. They do not have any kind of the proper leadership. That is a very important factor about the organization. See, we have seen the lot many organizations, they did not fire a single person during this kind of the during this pandemic period. That means that organization, they created such a business model, they created such a human resource policies or the kind of the thing means attached with their organization, that they can take care of the people in the time of the crisis also, and those organizations are appreciated, and I think that people will be very loyal to their organization. And the organization also, they also create a good brand in the society, as they did not fire any people during this pandemic period. On the other side, that some organization, they actually fire the people. I don't think they are having the very good business model. So it's a part of the economy where somebody has a good robust model and somebody does not have that. But in overall concept, the thought leadership is when the thought leadership plays a very important load in means crisis time, and also means in to actually get over from the crisis. So this is a very important point that you also pointed out here. So I would like to conclude our discussion today here. So we have covered almost an half an hour, and all aspects of the means many aspects of, not all, many aspects of the thought leadership with the crisis leadership also. So I would like to give you a thanks for presenting your views in our platform, and definitely we got enlightened through your views. So thanks a lot for your views, and really we got to know many things from you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.